Made a mistake. Well, good evening, that is. We're in the evening time. Welcome, welcome, welcome back to the Empower Her Talk Show. We are back here on AOC. Thank you, thank you, thank you, AOC, for this opportunity. Thank you, Cox Cable and LUS, again, for this great opportunity to hang out with all the people in the Lafayette and the six surrounding parishes. Thank you guys so much. I look forward to this every Thursday, right? We have been, oh my God, you know what? I got to look at how long I have been doing this show with you guys, man. I am just so excited. I guess I'm going to have me a little celebration, maybe. I might have an anniversary coming up. I don't know. Where we can definitely get deep into a lot. We have talked about so much on the show. I went back to watch a lot of our old videos, and I'm like, man, we have done a lot on this show. And I am so proud to be part of the AOC family. I thank you guys so much for allowing me to grace your iPads, your phones, your televisions, right? Your computers. Thank you, thank you, thank you. A friend of mine said, I was watching you the other night. I said, oh, you were? He always lets me know when he watches me. Um, and it's another one that also always tells me that he's watching me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I am so grateful to have this opportunity to share all this stuff with you guys, to share all the information. It's not stuff, it's information. I am so excited about being able to do that with you guys. And I want to continue as long as I can because things happen, right? As long as I can be able to share some things with you. I hope you guys have enjoyed the weather. I know it has been, ooh, it's been some heavy duty weather out there. It's been hot. We might have gotten a little bit of rain, but I think it's been more hot than anything. Um, but in the meantime, that's all right because I know everybody has a way of staying cool and staying like level headed, like in this all this craziness that's going on. I'm looking for something. That's why I'm looking down. Okay. Give me a second here. Let me see if I can find it real quick for myself. And also, I'm going to try to go over. Um, oh shoot, we're going to go back into the book because I think we're on chapter 5 in the book. We'll go over that too. Oh my God, the new book that we're in, that my class is in now, our Legacy Liftoff class, we're in now. Oh my God, the young ladies are like, if you go to our YouTube channel, if you go on here and you go to our YouTube channel, definitely you can hear what they're saying on there. Um, they are really, really, really excited. Um, about the class. And they said this last book that we're doing, Unpacking Pain, Trauma Filled Workbook for Women of Color, they said it is really, really hitting some spots. So that to me um, is awesome. Um, so I know if you guys don't get a chance to watch my Rooted and Rising podcast on Substack, I didn't do one this week. Well, I got till tomorrow. So I haven't done one. I try to stay on my schedule and stay focused and stay disciplined, since that's something I have issues with. In doing a show, I think I haven't done a show this week. I think, yeah, I hadn't done a podcast this week. And I don't know why. It's my fault if I haven't done it. It's all about me. Um, but tomorrow, I'm going to do one for tomorrow. So if you are subscribed to my Substack, which is just Lita McCall, if you're subscribed to my Substack, you can actually do my podcast because that's where I usually um, do my podcast at. So, and then I do the Saturday morning. Did I do yes, I did do a Saturday morning podcast, not a podcast, a show, Saturday morning on Rooted and Rising, which again, I stream it on our YouTube, excuse me, ooh, um, on our YouTube channel. Let's see here. I am looking for something that I want to discuss with you guys real quick. It's probably, I think this is from our, let's see. Okay, gotcha. Um, I'm reading something, I'm sorry. Give me a second here. I'm trying to find what I want. Um, yeah, here we go. I think I found it. I did. Um, yeah, so let's see here. So we're gonna, I want to try to go over I want to do this conversation with you guys, and then I want to see if I have enough time to um, actually go into our, what's the name, our book. And if we don't, we can always go back to the book. Not to confuse anybody who's coming on who's never watched me before. I have some ebooks that I wrote, and I've used them in my classes and with courses, the whole 9 yard, with a curriculum, and I'm using them also on here from time to time. But I thought about this because it kind of like, you know what, maybe this needs to be talked about on this platform too. Um, oh, shoot. You guys have no idea. Oh, okay, here it goes. So this conversation or the discussion I want to do with you guys. Let me get this off my screen so I can see. Um, this conversation I want to have with you guys, we're going to talk about the version of me that survival created. So you're saying, what do you think? I'm talking about the ideal that we stay in survival mode all the time, constantly, right? So the sense that we stay in survival mode all the time, it has created our own personality for that because we have, right? So we're going to talk little bit about that today. Okay, so can I start with a question? I want to begin with a question. Not what happened to you. We've asked that question many times before, right? Today I want to ask something a little bit different. Okay? So the question is, who did you become because of what happened to you? That's a little different. Who did you become because of all life experiences, life events that took place in your life? Who did you become? Now, I know that a lot of, now, not, let me say not a lot. I heard women say that I've become more bitter because of some of the relationships I've been in. One thing, she said she became bitter. Some people says, I've become more quieter now that I see what me being loud does, right? Or I've become more stronger because life showed me that I can. I've survived all these things. So we go off this whole scenario that we're strong. You know, everything, you know, I can handle everything. I can do everything. Everything can be done through my strength, right? Okay. So that right there is a different question. And I gave you some examples to that, you guys. So remember, because of that, experiences don't simply happen to us. Sometimes we have to understand they shape us. They change how we trust, how we love, how we communicate, how we protect ourselves, how we respond to conflict, yes, how we see ourselves, how we see other people. My nose is itching. I'm sorry, you guys. Somebody must be talking about me. That's what they say. How we see other people, how we move through this world. And sometimes we don't even realize how much we've changed until one day we look in the mirror and think, When did I become this person? Remember this: survival doesn't always look broken. This is something I want to make very, very clear to you. The version of you that survival created may not look broken, okay? She may look incredibly successful. She may have a career, a business, a family, a beautiful home, a strong reputation. She may be the person everyone calls when something goes wrong. She may be the one who always has a plan. She may be the one who never needs help. And people may admire her, but admiration doesn't tell you whether she is at peace. Because sometimes survival creates highly functional people, people who can accomplish extraordinary things while having no idea how to simply relax. The brain learns what keeps us safe. When you experience enough uncertainty, you start paying attention to patterns. What makes someone angry? What makes someone leave? What happens before something goes wrong? Who can I trust? Who can't I trust? When should I speak? When should I stay quiet? What do people expect from me? What do I have to keep things stable? The mind becomes observant, hyper aware, prepared, and those skills can be incredibly useful during difficult circumstances. But here's the problem: a strategy that protected you in one environment can become exhausting in another. Wow, I love that. Okay, now, when survival becomes your a personality, this is where things get interesting. At some point, we stop saying, "This is how I learned to survive," and start saying, "This is just who I am. I'm independent. I'm private. I don't trust people. I don't need help. I don't get attached. I don't depend on anybody. I don't cry. I don't ask for much. I always have to be prepared. I don't like surprises. I hate needing people. I don't like vulnerability. I don't rest well. I don't like being out of control. I don't let people get too close," and we'll call it personality. But sometimes personality contains old survival strategies. Wow. You listen to that. When I listen to that, I hear, like think I told someone, and I think I told on another platform, as all these different platforms are on, that I said sometimes the things that I discuss and talk about and write about, I be stepping on my own toes. Because, yes, a lot of these things I don't do because of this survival mode that we stay in, right? Because, again, we're talking about the survival creating the people that we become, right? The woman who doesn't need anybody. Let's talk about independence. Independence can be beautiful. Do not get it missed, or do not get it twisted, as they say. Being independent is a beautiful thing, okay? And there's nothing wrong with you being capable, right? But sometimes when you say, "I don't need anybody," it really means I learned that needing people was dangerous. Those are two completely different things. One is confidence, the other is protection. And if you learned early that people weren't reliable, You may decide, I'll just do it myself. And eventually, you become extremely good at doing everything yourself. And that is so true. And that's where the independence come in. Okay? But there's a hidden cost to that, you guys. You may also become extremely bad at receiving when people want to give. And I know I can step all over my toes on that one. I sometimes have issues with even compliments coming my way. I don't like to receive. It's not that I don't like to receive. Let me not say it's something I don't like to do because that doesn't sound correct. What I'm saying is I have a hard time, or it's difficult for me to receive. Okay? Now, when asking for help feels like a weakness, wow, this is a deep one. Now, some women can give endlessly, but ask them to receive something, they become uncomfortable, just like I just said, right? Someone says, wait, let me help you. And they immediately respond, no, I'm good. I say it all the time. I got it. That's my word. I got it. I got it. Don't, I got it. I will say that in a heartbeat. Someone offers to carry you something or carry something. I just said it. I've got it. That is hilarious. I got it. Someone asks what they need. Nothing. I don't need nothing. I'm good. Or someone offers emotional support. I'll be fine. I'll be fine. Why? Because dependence may have once been associated with disappointment. So independence become armor, but armor doesn't know when the war is over. The walls that once protected you. Maybe you built walls, and those walls were necessary. Maybe you had to become guarded. Maybe you had to stop trusting easily. Maybe you had to learn not to tell everybody your business. Maybe you had to stop expecting people to rescue you. Those boundaries may have protected you, but eventually you'll have to ask, are these walls still protecting me, or are they keeping me, or they're keeping everybody out? Hmm, that's the question. Because there is a difference between a boundary and a fortress. A boundary says you cannot treat me however you want. A fortress says nobody gets close enough to hurt me. The first protects you, the second can imprison you. Now, next point. The version of you that never relaxes. Maybe survival created a woman who is always prepared. She checks everything twice. She thinks 3 steps ahead. She keeps emergency money. She has backup plans. She notices everything changes in someone's voice. She can sense tension before anyone else does. She walks into a room and immediately scans the environment. She doesn't understand how people can be so relaxed. And then someone may say, you worry too much. But perhaps worrying once helped you stay ahead of something. So your mind learned preparation equals safety. Now, even when there is no emergency, your mind keeps preparing. No matter what, if you're at a dinner party, you're having a good time, you're still on that safety. You're in that safety mode, right? The red lights are going off inside. You know not to laugh too hard. You know not to get into a conversation with someone. You already know you got your guard up. Your fortress is still around you, even though you're in an environment where you don't need it, but it's up because it's always going to be up, right? Because again, what's created us? The survival mode. When peace feels wrong. Wow. Woo! I told you I can relate. I wrote this so I can relate. So did I write this for me? No. I wrote this for everybody, not just for me. This is for any woman who feels this way. Okay? Now, and that connects directly to our previous, we had a Saturday morning conversation on my Saturday show. This kind of dives into that. Peace feels unfamiliar after chaos. Yes, that's what it was named. So, because if survival created a version of you that is constantly scanning for danger, then peace can feel suspicious. You finally have a quiet day, and your mind says, what am I forgetting? You finally have stability, and your mind says, something is about to happen. And I don't know if I told you guys this, but me and my girlfriend was talking. And she was saying the same thing. She said, boy, it is so quiet. Why is it so quiet? I'm just looking for something to happen. It's just too quiet. And we kept saying it because for real, it was like, no, it's something going to happen. Because everything was so peaceful. What they say, the quiet before the storm. Yes, that's exactly what it is. You finally have a healthy relationship and you think, how long is this going to last? You finally experience success. And instead of enjoying it, you prepare for losing it. That's not because you're ungrateful. Sometimes your nervous system simply hasn't learned that stability can be real. Just imagine you go through your whole life on alert, right? On pins and needles. Everything is just, you're just waiting for that next shoe to drop. You're just waiting for another tragedy. You're just waiting for somebody to call you to tell you something has happened. And you live, just imagine what that's doing to your nervous system, constantly on pins and needles all the time. And you're not getting the proper rest. Your mind is not getting the proper rest. You're not able to be in the present moment. So none of that, all the things that you practice to deal with, all of that goes out the door because you don't know what's going to happen next, right? So your nervous system is shocked because it doesn't know, right? So next point, survival can create hyper independence. Wow. So let's talk about the woman who says, I'll figure it out. And she always does. That's precisely the problem because everyone learns she'll figure it out, right? So they'll stop asking, stop checking, stop offering, stop noticing, and suddenly the woman who became independent because she couldn't depend on anybody else. Did you hear what I just said? Let me repeat that just for you got, for the people in the back, like we say, for the people in the back, I need to repeat this. Because everyone learns, oh, she'll figure it out. So they stop asking, stop checking, stop offering, stop noticing, and suddenly the woman who became independent because she couldn't depend on anybody becomes surrounded by people who assume she doesn't need anybody. That's a painful cycle, and we do it all the time. Excuse me. You like my cup? I just wanted to show that to you. Okay. Another point, a cost of always being the strong one. And we talked about this a long time ago on my podcast. So we're going to bring it back over here. So, being strong can become a trap when everyone starts believing your strength means you don't have limits. People don't see the exhaustion, they don't see the fear, the loneliness, the resentment, the moments when you wish somebody would just simply say to you, you don't have to do this alone. And sometimes you don't even know how to ask for that anymore because you've spent so long providing you can handle everything. I'm sorry, not providing, proving that you can handle everything. Now let's talk about survival in relationships, right? Remember, survival always changes a relationship, right? You may become attracted to what feels familiar rather than what is healthy. Chaos may feel like chemistry. Emotional distance may feel normal. Being needed by, being needed may feel like being loved. Being useful may feel like being valuable. And consistency, sometimes consistency feels boring. Why? Because the nervous system recognizes what it has practiced. And if you've practiced instability, stability can feel strange. So if you've been in all this chaos all the time, constantly, over and over again, it's one drama after another, you become used to that. And you don't know how to feel any other way when that's what you're used to. But when quietness comes, when stability comes, you get crazy because you're like, what the hell? Right? This is not what I asked for. Bring out the chaos? I need the chaos. I need the chaos back. Because you don't feel comfortable, even though the chaos is killing you, right? The chaos is mentally, emotionally killing you, and then it's tearing up your nervous system. I'm just saying, okay? Now, when becoming needed becomes a value, let me say that again. When being needed becomes value, your value. So now we're going to equate us being needed by everybody and anybody as a value that we take on to ourselves, right? It becomes part of how much we're worth, is how much we can do for other people. Okay. Now, this connects to our conversations about women disappearing inside relationships, because we talked about that. Some women learned I'm valuable because I take care of people. So they become indispensable. They anticipate needs, fix problems, remember everything, give advice, provide emotional support, carry responsibilities. And then when someone doesn't need them, they feel lost. Because who are you when you're not solving somebody else's problem? That's seriously an identity question. So you do not, a people pleaser um, definitely has these traits. Okay, they don't feel valuable unless they're validated through the things that they do for other people, right? I take care of this, I do this, I'm here, I'm there, I purchased this, I got that, she needs me, I got to go over to the hospital. My husband left his lunch at at home, I got to go take him lunch. One kid got sick, so you're all over the place. And you're fine with that because you have equated who you are, how valuable you are to other people, okay? To how you take care of other people. Now, the woman who doesn't know what she wants. Oh, wait a minute, hold up. We do know what we want. No. Okay. Here's another version of survival survival can create. Excuse me. The woman who is excellent at responding but struggle with choosing. Stop. I remember look at stop. But struggles with choosing. What do you want? Whatever works. Where do you want to eat? I don't care. What do you want to do this weekend? Whatever everybody else wants. See, again, validate ourselves through other people. What kind of life do you want? Then you get silence. Because she learned how to survive circumstances, but never had enough space to explore desire. Now, she knows what she doesn't want. She knows what hurts. She knows what she can tolerate. But what does she actually want? That's sometimes a completely different journey. So that's a question I want you guys to ask yourself. What do you truly want? Not involving anybody else but you. What do you truly want? When you answer that question, write it down. Okay? All right. Next point. Survival can make you good at reading everyone except yourself. Woo! But you know what? You can read yourself. You just ignored yourself enough not to figure out that you can do that, right? I think you can read yourself. Okay? Now, think about that. You know when someone is upset. You know when the energy in the room changes. You know when someone is lying. You know how to keep everyone comfortable. But when someone asks, what do you need? I don't know. That's one of the quiet consequences of self abandonment. You become an expert on everybody else while becoming unfamiliar with yourself. Wow. So next thing we want to talk about the question of identity. So now we're getting to the heart of our conversation. Who am I underneath the survival strategies? Who am I? Not the strong woman, not the fixer, not the caretaker, not the independent one, not the responsible one, not the one who never cries, not the one who always knows what to do. Who are you when you don't have to protect yourself every second? That question can feel frightening because survival may have introduced you to yourself and you may not know who you are without it. Wow. So, what do you want is one question. What do you want is one question. I want you to be able to answer. And who am I underneath my survival strategies? First of all, figure out what your survival strategies are and then ask that question. Who am I underneath the survival strategies? Next, we should be careful about blaming the survivor. Okay. And I want to pause here for just a moment. We cannot turn this into you created these problems, right? No. People adapt. Human beings develop strategies based on their circumstances. You if you learn if you learn to be hyper independent, there was probably a reason. If you become guarded, there was probably a reason. If you became emotionally detached, there's probably a reason. If you learn to anticipate danger, there was probably a reason. Now, the goal isn't to shame the version of you that survived. The goal is to thank her. Hmm. The goal isn't to shame the version of you that survived. The goal is to thank her for allowing you to survive. Now, thank the woman who survived. Now, this is where this is very important. I don't want us to hate the version of ourselves that survival created. She got you here. Maybe she wasn't perfect. Maybe she made mistakes. Maybe she pushed people away. Maybe she stayed too long. Maybe she left too quickly. Maybe she didn't know how to communicate. Maybe she became hard. Maybe she became overly accommodating. But she wasn't trying. She was trying to keep you safe. And perhaps she deserves compassion too. And that's the version of yourself, again, that survival created. Okay? That's the version of yourself that survival created. And you don't have to hate who you have become. Excuse me. You don't have to hate who you became to become someone new. This is parts of you that you need to, I don't want to say glorify, But understand that survival mode that you were in created you, and it got you through, right? So there's no need to be ashamed of the decisions you made, because again, you were trying to learn something, and you were trying to do what? You were trying to survive. So you're going to make mistakes, you're going to bump your head, you're going to do things that you didn't think you would do. All of that is part of survival, so you don't have to be angry with that side of you, because sometimes people be so hard on themselves, right? They be so angry, but sometimes they take that anger and they can project it because they're so dissatisfied with themselves, not realizing that person you were, that version of you had to happen in order for you to be here, right? It had to happen. You had to go through those things. So you have to be careful when you try to beat yourself up, okay? Learning, again, stepping on my toes, right? And you have to understand, you don't have to live in survival mode forever. First and foremost, please understand that. Now, this is where the conversation changes a little bit, because gratitude doesn't mean permanent resonance. Okay, let me say that again. Because gratitude doesn't mean permanent residency. You can say, thank you for protecting me. Tell yourself that. Look in the mirror and say, thank you for protecting me. And then you don't have to run everything anymore. Okay? You can have a seat. And you can say, thank you for making me independent. And then I'm learning how to receive help. Thank you for keeping me guarded. I'm learning who deserves access to me. Woo! Thank you for teaching me to anticipate danger. I'm learning how to recognize safety. That's not betrayal, that's evolution. To even think that, I think that is so like right on point. Now, I want you to understand that survival is not an entire identity, okay? It's especially not your entire identity. Your experiences are part of your story, but they don't have to become the entire definition of who you are. And you know what? We walk around every day, you guys, in this survival mode. We don't even know what it is to be at peace. A lot of us don't know what it is to be at peace. We don't, because we had to live in survival mode for so long. When you say, what are you talking about? When you say, you know what, I'm so at peace. You sometimes people, you say that to somebody, they get offended because they're like, what do you mean you at peace? I'm at peace. How did you get there? Well, you have to understand, once you start the process of healing, the peace comes. Now, don't get it twisted that there's not going to be some stuff that's going to continue happening, because you're not all the way there, okay? There's still going to be frustrations. There are going to be disappointments. There are going to be times when you're mad and angry and want to chop people heads off and the whole 9 yards. You're going to still go through that process, because again, you're in the process of healing. But once you get to that point where you're saying, you know what, I'm done. When you get to that point, peace and healing starts to come in. Okay, now that's why the version of you that survived the chaos is still important. It's where you can say, yes, I am grateful, I am thankful, I did all this, I've been through all this. Now I'm at a point where I can just like, I'm done. I'm letting it all go. I'm pulling down my walls. I'm going to let go, and I'm going to set things in place that no longer is about me surviving it. It's about me moving forward and healing and being at peace and finding my happiness. Because we look for happiness in every other thing, person, situation, when it's all within you. Everything is in you, but you have to recognize it. And when you don't recognize it, it's going to be chaos all the time. I'm just saying. I'm telling you. It's going to be chaos all the time. Okay? So, you experience the part of your story, right? But I'm sorry, let me say that again. Your experiences are part of the story, but they don't have to become the entire definition of who you are. You are not only what happened, you are also what you created, what you learned, what you discovered, what you love, what you imagine, what you choose, what you are becoming. Survival may explain some of your behavior, but it doesn't have to dictate your life. Because a lot of times that's what happens. It doesn't have to dictate your present or your future. Now, tell me this. This is a great question. What can you release? This is where I want to bring the conversation into the mirror, because I love the mirror thing. I told you I keep a mirror. I tell everybody I have a mirror in front of me right now, right by my screen. I keep a mirror because I got to look in it and look at me and see how I'm acting. Because see, that's how I check me. That's how I know when it's time for me to step back. If I don't check myself and understand that that version of me is still there, guess what? I can't keep going. I have to stop and think, right? Because what it does is it leads me into more chaos if I don't check myself. So I'm going to tell you, figure out how to check yourself. Figure out how you can count to 5 before you say something or before you do something. Check yourself, okay? Now, just ask yourself this. What am I doing because I genuinely want to? And what am I doing because I'm afraid of what will happen if I don't? Those are 2 different questions. What am I doing because I genuinely want to? And what am I doing because I am afraid of what will happen if I don't do it? Now that's powerful, because sometimes we're carrying behaviors that no longer belong to our present lives. What? Look, I got to get me my sound machine. Let me see. This is alarming. Let me see what I got. Drum. There we go. Because sometimes we are carrying behaviors that no longer belong to our present lives. That is an eye opener. Now, what if you don't have to be that woman anymore? What if you don't want to be that woman anymore? What if you don't have to be the woman who always says yes, never asks for help, always expects disappointment, keeps everyone comfortable, never lets anyone else see her cry, handles everything alone, stays busy so she doesn't have to feel, keeps people at a distance, expects the worst, needs to control every detail? What if you can become someone different? Not weaker, but different. In other words, put all that down. Lay it down for right now. Lay it down for right now so that you can heal. And so that you can have the life that you wanted. So that you know then what you want, right? So let's talk about, who are you becoming? This is a question I want to leave with you. Not who were you, not what happened, not even who did survival make you, but who are you becoming now that you know you don't have to live entirely from survival? Maybe you're becoming softer. Maybe you're becoming more discerning. Maybe you're becoming more trusting. Maybe you're learning boundaries. Maybe you're learning rest. Maybe you're learning joy. Maybe you're learning how to receive. Maybe you're learning how to ask. Maybe you're learning how to say, I don't know. Maybe you're learning that you don't even have to know everything. Wow. Now, let's talk about the new version. It doesn't have to be perfect. Oh, yes, 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 yes. Understand you don't have to be perfect. This new version of you, where you found peace and joy and happiness, and you've closed the door on survival. You've come out of that survival mode. You lock the key and you put the key in your pocket because now you are away from the survival mode. Please don't turn this into another performance, okay? Pretending, right? You don't need to become perfectly healed version of yourself. Please do not think that's what you need to do. That's going to become another trap that you find yourself in, right? You're allowed to still have protective habits. You're allowed to have difficult days, and I said that earlier. You're allowed to recognize that some things take time. Growth doesn't mean you never return to old patterns. It means you recognize them sooner and eventually you choose differently. I like that. I like that. Now, I want you to go and sit somewhere quiet and ask yourself, who did I become? Who did I have to become to survive? Then ask, what parts of her still serve me? And what parts of her am I ready to release? In our book, Unpacking Pain, a trauma-informed workbook for women of color, we're talking about unpacking. And this actually kind of lays into unpacking. And it's one type of exercise is unpacking using a roadmap. So the roadmap has a whole bunch, you're going to create a whole bunch of circles. And in those circles, you're going to put all the things in those circles that you have been surviving, right? And you're going to every now and then go to that list and pull out one that you want to deal with on the day, on that day, one that you want to face. Some childhood, it could be from your childhood, it could be from your relationships, it could be from work, it could be from anything. Whatever it is that you have been holding inside and you have not unpacked it, this teaches you how to unpack it and see if you can deal. And it's all right if you don't deal with it then. You just wanted to pull it out, look at it, and see if you could do something with it. If you don't feel like you can't. It's all right. Put it back up and take it out for another day. And you got to remember too, all things are not going to get healed. All things are not going to get healed. Some things just need to stay lying dormant. You don't need to raise the dead on some of the situations that happen in your life. I just want to let you know that. So I don't want you to rush this last question. Okay. I don't want you to rush that question because you may discover you have been so busy surviving that you never had the opportunity to imagine yourself freely. Freedom comes into this. Once you stop surviving, freedom comes in this. Okay. Now, we're going to go from surviving to becoming. Maybe that's the next chapter. Not how do I survive, but how do I become? Who do I want to be? What do I want to enjoy? What do I believe? What do I value? What kind of relationships do I want? How do I want to spend my time? What does peace look like? What does joy feel like? What does enough look like? What does a life built around choice, not survival, look like? Those questions belong to you. Interesting. Now, as I come to the close of this conversation that we had, which was so wonderful, very heartfelt, I felt it. Okay. I want to say this, and I want to talk directly to the woman who became incredibly strong because she had no choice. I see you. Maybe nobody saw what it cost. Maybe they only saw in you the strength. They saw the woman who kept going, the woman who handled it, the woman who didn't complain, the woman who made it happen. But you know what it took. You know how many times you had to swallow something. You know how many times you had to pick yourself up. You know how many times you said, I'm fine, when you weren't. And I don't want you to look back at that woman with shame. Look at her with compassion because she did something remarkable. She got you here. But now you may be entering a different chapter. And the woman who survived may not need to disappear. She may simply need to put down some of what she's been carrying. Oh my, oh my, oh my, oh my. Loving that. I want her to know that she can rest, she can learn, she can soften, she can receive, she can laugh, she can dream, she can make mistakes, she can change her mind, she can become someone who isn't constantly preparing for the next crisis. And perhaps she can finally discover something she didn't have the luxury to discover before, which is who she is when survival isn't making all the decisions. Wow. So, today's reminder is this: you are allowed to honor the version of you that survived without remaining trapped inside the identity survival created. You can thank her, you can love her, you can understand her, and then you can begin becoming. So, you guys, this is Coach Salida, and I want to leave you with this mirror question. Who did survival require me to become, and who am I ready to become now? Sit with that. Don't force the answer. Let it unfold. Because maybe your next chapter isn't about becoming stronger. Maybe you've been so strong. Maybe your next chapter is about becoming free. So I'm going to let you go right there with that. So I'm not going to be able to, I don't want to get into the chapter that we were reading yet. I'm going to probably try to do it the next time we come on, the next Thursday. I'm going to try. I'm not going to guarantee because something fascinating might happen this week, next week, that is, before Thursday, and I might have something else I want to discuss with you guys. You guys, I love this. I love the ideal that we have all of these resources to kind of get our minds right, to kind of get us in the mode. Because I know it's so many women out there that I spoke to tonight. I know there is so many women out there. And I want you guys to understand how important it is for you to want to come out of the survival mode. And if you want to get deeper into how to come out of the survival mode, we can definitely do that. I think that's important, um, because we're going into another year, you guys. In about 4 months, we'll be in 2027. And we have to look at what we want in 2027. How clear are we? Do we have clarity in what we want? Have we ever thought about what we truly want? Is success what you want? Is money what you want? Is the car, the house, is that what you want? Those are materialistic things that can happen. But what I'm talking about is, what do you want for yourself inside? Do you want to love yourself more? Do you want to thank yourself more? Do you want to be grateful? Or do you want to go back into the survival mode for the rest of your life? Because a lot of people have left here in survival mode. They never were able to escape it. You have a possibility to be able to escape the survival mode, but you have to make sure that's what you want to do. Okay. Now, I'm going to go ahead and um, end the show, but I'm not going to end it without wanting you guys to do something for me if you have not done it. I want you guys to acquire you a journal. And I want you guys to learn how to write down how you feel. Learn how to write down what you feel and how you feel. I do it all the time. And I very much so encourage my classmates, my students, to get you. Matter of fact, I sent all my students a book, a pen, and an affirmation card, I think, to get them started. I want you guys to invest in a journal. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. Okay. I found these at Ollie's. Okay. I just finished one of my journals. This is the second journal um, that I started this year. This is the second journal. No, 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 not this year. This is about the third, maybe third journal I've done. And write down how you feel. You have prompts. If you want any type of prompts to get you started, let me know. I'll definitely get them to you. Okay. You guys, I'm serious about this. I'm serious about women's mental, emotional health. I am very much so. Very, very serious about it. Because we are in survival mode. I think a lot of our mental health issues is because we stay in survival mode all the time. And we don't know how to get out of it. Okay? We don't know how to get out of it. So I'm saying to you guys, I want you to take time out to buy you a journal. Okay? Purchase you a journal and start writing. Because I'm telling you, it helps me out so much. And when I was talking to my students, they were saying the same thing. Okay. And you don't have to write in it every day. Don't get an impression that you have to write in it every day. You don't. Okay. Whatever you feel, write. If you write it more than one time, that's fine. Doesn't matter. If it's how you feel, write down what you feel. Okay. So I am going to leave that here for you guys, that information here. You've got the questions. If you want anything from me pertaining to your journal, prompts to get any type of writing started, who am I? Who am I before I went into the survival mode? And who am I now? Those are some of the questions I just thought about that you can ask yourself if you understand what survival mode is. Okay? All right. So I'm going to let you guys go. I want to say thank you for hanging out with me here on the Empower Her Talk Show. I hope I helped someone out there. You guys have at the bottom of the screen can see how you can contact me. If you want to talk with me one-on-one, definitely get in contact with me. Okay, from there. If you want just small little guidance, I can help you with that too. Okay. So, Thank you guys. Thank you, AOC. Thank you, LUS and Cox Cable, for this opportunity. You guys have a great night and good night.